All right, guys. Special video I'm doing here, and as you can see, that's Jimmy from Command Zone. Was watching this video. It is Jimmy's personal commander decks, and he talks about his decks and then ranks them, I think. And I thought there was some really important takeaways from this video. Honestly, I've never been a huge fan of the Command Zone guys. Obviously, they're biggest for just Commander. They're the biggest channel by far. And I was always, they kind of annoyed me. I watched them in the beginning before they even put their faces on there. It was just them doing like a podcast. I watched them because obviously there wasn't really much else to watch as far as Commander content. And one of the things that annoyed me about them is, and I don't like to comment on other channels too much. I know like a lot of you guys probably really love them. It's fine. Again, I still watch them. I just watched this video. I like getting different opinions and different perspectives. That's why I don't like to necessarily crap on other people's perspectives. However, there's something specific here that I don't love. One of the things I didn't love about them is whenever new sets would come out and new commanders, the first thing they would do is go, here's how you combo with this commander. Like there's a combo with this commander where you can do this. That's the first thing they would point out with all these commanders is if there was a combo where you could go infinite or something, they would always point that out right away. I didn't love that. I mean, obviously it's going to come out eventually, but having the biggest commander channel advertising combos with commanders just makes it so that more people are doing it. So, and again, these guys are so influential. It really has. Well, they've honestly made a huge impact, obviously, on the format. More people are going to be doing the stuff that they're doing. And that goes into the way they build decks as well, which is the other thing I don't particularly love. I used to watch game nights in the beginning, and again, if you watch game nights, you're going to see some power. You're going to see mana vaults and mana crypts and grim monoliths and a lot of powerhouse cards because these guys dual lands, right? These guys don't hold back. And one of the issues with that, again, people can do as they like. And if you got those cards, great. And if you got lots of money to spend on Magic, I have no problem with that. But when you're a really influential channel like this, it kind of makes, again, some guy just starting out in Commander, it makes them think. I mean, it didn't for me because I know Magic, right? And I know you don't have to play. Even in other formats, I didn't do that, so I know you don't have to play the best cards. But it can be really influential on people and make them think, okay, well, I guess I need to get a mana vault for my deck, right? If I want it to be good. I was looking at this one deck in particular, and I'll just tell you right now, man, do I ever not want to play against Jimmy? I don't think I would ever want to play. So some people say, hey, I've had guys comment on my videos, hey, you should go on game nights. I don't think I'd ever want to play against those guys. I would just probably get annoyed because they play so much good stuff. And we're going to look at a deck here. You can see on the bottom Marchesa the Black Rose, and it's one of his oldest decks. And because it's his oldest deck, well, you'll see what happens here.
Next up, we're going to talk about the first deck I ever built because it evolved into this deck. It used to be a blue-black deck and then became Grixis. It is Marchesa the Black Rose.
I'll try to keep my
Watch
face
out
out
for
of
this
the
one.
way.
One, a blue, a black, and a red for a 3/3 human wizard has dethroned. So whenever this creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life.
By the way, this is why I don't read card. Whenever I'm doing my personal decks video, it's already a lot to talk about, but I try not to read cards because it just takes so long to read all the cards.
So this is kind of just like your
Okay, here we go.
powerhouse value deck.
First of all, he says this is kind of like your Grixis powerhouse value deck, right? I was looking at this list, and it's funny because maybe we'll skip ahead here to what the deck's doing first, right?
Cornerstone cards.
Cornerstone cards.
Sower of Temptation.
Sower of
This is a
Temptation,
2/blue
right?
creature. When it comes to the battlefield, you gain control of target creature as long as Sower remains in.
So this is what he's doing in the deck.
And getting a +1/+1
And again, this is one of the issues here with Commander in general and this kind of build.
Sacrifice the creature and the Sower, or just the Sower, or actually both.
I mean, for those who've never played against a Marchesa, that's what people, pretty much every Marchesa deck started doing this. You steal your opponent's creatures, right? Because you can temporarily steal them, and then when they come back, and when you can sacrifice them, and then when they come back into play under your control if they have a +1/+1 counter on them. So it's a way to permanently everyone started doing that with their Marchesa deck. So he's using Sower of Temptation here, steal your opponent's creature, sacrifice it, it comes back. And you can sacrifice the Sword of Temptation as well and come back and get another trigger off of it, right?
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Unspeakable Symbol is
I
like the
mean, that's
classic Marchesa
obviously,
card. It's one
yeah,
black
it's a
black for
class.
enchantment.
I was just gonna
Two
say
red
it's an
with
auto
1/1
include in every
counter
Marchesa
target.
deck, and I think he's
Whenever
got
human deals damage to you,
Mickey's,
destroy
right?
it. And one counter
All right,
and
that's
heal
supposed to be the
it.
theme of the deck. He
It's
likes
a
the
really fun
steel
card when you
theme.
get it going.
Anyway, that's we're gonna go back now that he's sort of described what the deck is doing. Let's go back, okay? And I want to look at his deck list.
Your control
And
and
again,
put
this
into
is
the deck and step.
the thing that
So this
kind
is
of
kind of just
like
like your
look at
quick.
this deck list. First of all, he puts Ancient Tomb in like all of his decks. Like every single one of his decks has an Ancient Tomb. I mean, again, it's fine. I think it's not great in a three-color deck. It's only adding colorless mana. Of course, again, like look at his lands. The lands 2001. This is like a $3,000 deck. Dual lands, whatever. That's fine.
It's
Okay.
just
However,
how you
where it gets to, you're actually making a bad deck, or you're making your deck worse. Not a bad deck. This is obviously a good deck. It's probably really powerful. But where you're making your deck worse is this deck is like 80% good stuff. And he even says it's kind of a Grixis good stuff deck. So all the things he was talking about, the fun, interesting things he can do with Marchesa, he's not really doing that at all, right? As you look at the deck, I mean, obviously Cyclonic Rift, Fierce Guardianship, Force Will. Again, these guys put Fierce Guardianship and Force Will in all their blue decks. Mystical Tutor, because why not? Again, more just there's so much good stuff in this deck. He plays Dockside
lots of value
Extortionist in
pieces.
all of his red
The
decks.
ability to
I believe, and these guys were pretty upset when the bannings came out because they play like Dockside and Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus in like all of their decks. So that was three cards. Like again, for me, it's like okay, I have to take 0 cards out of my decks. For you guys, you didn't have to make much of a change. These guys probably had to take those cards out of all their decks. He played Dockside in all of his red decks, right? So look at all the good stuff in this deck. So much good stuff. You know,
steal your opponent's creatures is a big part of
like
it.
if
And
you
then
look at the
your
cards that actually have something to do with the deck, I mean, yeah, you're sacrificing creatures, so reform is good. Rowan, what is that doing in there? It's almost like you put that in there just because it's a powerful card. Talion the Kindly Lord is one where
or
I'm
also
like,
if keep those
why is
creatures
that in there?
forever. If you
Again, that's a card that they just put in CDH decks. Like he has a lot of just sort of good stuff, almost CEDH cards. Bolus's Citadel, what's that doing? And I guess I can make your life total lower, which is relevant. Of course, he's got Mana Vault in here because why not? Sensei's Divining Top, why is that in there? What's that got to do with your deck, dude? Nothing, right? Like Agatha Soul Cauldron obviously is a great fit because that's doing the +1/+1 counter thing. But I can't believe how many good stuff cards he has in here. Again, like, why is Talion the Kindly Lord in here? Why? The only cards I can see that actually, again, he has the Sower of Temptation and the Thalicos Deceiver. That's it. The actual strategy of his deck, which is I'm going to steal my opponent's creatures, sacrifice them, and then keep them permanently. As far as I can tell, he's only got 2 cards that actually do that. He's got so much good stuff in this deck that his deck is really built, only has 2 cards that are doing the thing he wants to do. And I imagine he used to do that more. And then as more good stuff, like, oh, Beseech the Mirror, that's a great tutor. And I'm also sacrificing, right? This is the fallacy, the place you don't want to go. So I'll put that in my Marchesa deck because it's a perfect fit there. And then I'll just take out some card that used to actually work really well in the deck. Breach the Multiverse. Hey, that's just a great commander card that you could put in any deck, and it steals your opponent's creatures, right? I'm pretty sure. So I'll put that in my, right? He just wants to play that good commander card that just came out. So let's put it in the deck where it fits, and it fits here. But then I'm going to take something else that was already working great with my strategy. Bribery, again, is just a good stuff card that he put in here just because it happens to work with stealing your opponent's creatures. Although, again, like you almost don't even need Marchesa as the commander for this deck. This literally is a good stuff Grixis pile, practically. Demonic Tutor, because why? Right?
you have
Faithless
decks
Looting
and
is
then you
really
run
weird.
+1/+1 counter
Why
on
is
them.
Faithless Looting in here? Is this a graveyard deck? Is it a discard theme? Again, this is one of those cards that is so powerful in certain themes and people don't realize it's actually not a good card. This is card disadvantage in most situations. I mean, what it ends up becoming is your net 0 cards. Usually, even if you flash it back, you're net 0 cards. Right out of the gate, you're down a card because I have 7 cards in hand. I cast Faithless Looting. I'll have 6 cards in hand. So it's card disadvantage. but because it's just seen as this really great, it is a fantastic looting card. But why are you looting? Do you want stuff in your graveyard? I don't know if this deck does. I don't think he has. I mean, like, he's got to reanimate, of course, because it's just the best, one of the best black cards in the format. So he's just going to put it in his deck because why not? There's so many why not put them in their cards. Wheel of Fortune being another
Or you
one.
can counter on them some
And
other
again,
way.
this is, I'm actually surprised he doesn't have Gamble in this deck because he puts Gamble and Jessica's Will in all of his red decks. Again, they're just like, he has so many auto includes. And again, probably they all do this. He has so many auto includes of, okay, I just put Dockside, Gamble, and Jessica's Will in all my red decks. And I put Fierce Guardianship, Force of Will. Let's see if he's got Rhystic Study in here. I am
And they
guarantee
come
he
back
does.
under your control because of the very consistent way that
Yep,
Marchesa
he's
plays
got,
cards.
not only does he have, look at the good stuff pile here. Black Market Connections, Mystic Remora, Necropotence, Rhystic Study, right? Sneak Attack is a card that actually works with his deck. Uncivil Unrest, yeah, that's the +1/+1 counter one.
One of the
That
very
works
things
with
to
his
do in
deck,
Magic is
okay?
steal other people's
So
stuff.
let's go
It's been around
through and
forever.
actually,
Swing with
I'm gonna mute you. Sorry, Jimmy. Let's go back and actually look at the cards that specifically work with his deck, okay? Electro Dominance, damn, what does that do? That has nothing to do with his deck, right? Is that just a good stuff card? So good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Saw in half. That's it. One. Okay. And again, this is what I imagine that if I had looked at this deck 4 years ago, it would be way more stuff that actually works with his commander and way more stuff that is synergistic with what's going on in his deck. Archpriest of Shadows. I don't know what that does. Anger, like, anger's okay here, not super great because, again, other than faceless looting, I don't know how many ways he has to discard it. I imagine he's playing it and then sacrificing it, which is a really slow way to give your creatures haste. There's way better ways to give your creatures haste, I think. And especially in a 3-color deck, you do need to control a mountain with anger. So why not just play Fervor? And then that's 3 mana and all your creatures have haste. And it's an enchantment, so people likely won't get it off the battlefield. So we have, like, none of these cards work with his commander, with his strategy, except for maybe Saw in Half, which honestly, it is kind of a good stuff card, but he does want to kill his own creatures, so that does work there. Like, so many in here are, I mean, I guess because they have ETBs, they do kind of work. Again, even Dockside kind of works with his commander because he can sacrifice it and right. So any ETB creature does work here, like Phyrexian Metamorph, and because he's doing ETBs, he can copy his Dockside with this. And I imagine he probably spent a lot of games sacking his Dockside and copying it, and his deck was probably mostly built around just copying and sacking his Dockside a lot of times. Glenalendra Archmage, that's definitely a card that works here. Again, Dothi Voidwalker is just a good stuff card, but at the same time, it does work here because it sacrifices itself, right? He basically just found the most good stuffy and powerful cards that work with what his commander's doing. Again, Talion the Kindly Lord. Other than CDH players just like throwing this in all their decks, I don't know why he has the here. Again, Scarab God is, what's that doing here? It's just this again to me feels like a good stuff card. Wormcoil Engine seems like a good stuff card. This is the most good stuffy deck I think I've ever seen, and the way he talks about how much it's built around his commander, it's like you don't have that much built around your commander here at all. It's mostly a good stuff pile. The One Ring, and again, these guys have like the One Ring in all their decks. All their decks have the One Ring. It's so against what I like to do in the commander format. Wheel of Fortune, because again, that's just considered a powerful card in the history of Magic, you know. And I mean, look at the enchantments: Rhystic Study, Necropotence. Like, how powerful is that deck? Like, imagine that deck in the bracket system. It's You're playing CEDH, buddy. That's the only thing that you're going to be able to play with that deck. It kind of annoys me. It kind of annoys me when let's just shoehorn in all the auto includes and all the most powerful cards we can that are considered casual, although some of those cards are not. But then on top of that, and I mean that definitely not a CDH deck, is it? Pretty sure it's not. But on top of that, you start shoehorning all of these good stuff cards and all of they just came out with another really good this or a really good that or a really good way to steal creatures or tutors, and you end up just taking out your all the good the stuff in your deck that actually works and synergizes. And in my opinion, you end up making your deck worse, and you just end up making yourself a good stuff pile of cards, which is, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. I don't think it's great. I want to talk about another one of his decks here, and this is the part that's funny. Is he's ranking his decks, and where is it? Yep. So he's talking about this deck.
My other decks, and I really love this set because it just had a ton of stuff that you could do in terms of adding cards.
I think he's a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Probably of all my decks, the one that takes the most game actions. It's Samwise Gamgee. It's green and white.
Samwise Gamgee, and this kind of surprised me.
Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control,
I was actually surprised he had a white-green deck at all, because judging by looking, again, he loves red, he loves blue, red, blue, and black, I would say. Well, red and blue for sure. Like most of his decks are red and blue. He really likes red and blue. Again, he's got like Gamble and Jessica's Will and Dockside in all of his decks. He's got Force of Will, Fierce Guardianship, Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora in all of his decks.
create a food token. Sacrifice 3 foods, return target historic card.
And this kind of surprised me.
So legendary creatures, artifacts, and sagas.
And then when we looked at the
This is a
pile, and again, I was expecting,
super value-based deck.
where's all the, I was like, okay, here we go. He's going to have Smothering Tithe. And I was trying to think, what are the good stuff cards he's going to have in here, right?
Using those for
I mean,
value as well.
he does have Ancient Tomb, because again, he's got Ancient Tomb in all of his decks.
Either
but
bring
it's
stuff
the
back,
Balin's
or then
Tomb, right?
constantly use them over and over again.
Ash Barrens is a weird one to have in a
Orthos synergy.
Selesnya deck. Definitely not needed.
So the plan is pretty simple. You just get Samwise out.
By the way, all of his decks are like monolith decks too. They're all sort of, I guess. Again, the Marchesa deck is like, you probably could get away with never playing your commander. I watched the utility lands video. They were ranking or drafting utility lands, and Jimmy ended up taking Command Beacon really high on his list, even though the other two didn't have it at all. He's got it in this deck, and the reason why is because all of his decks are very monolith commander decks. He really needs his commander in play for a lot of them.
Build your board state. Get all
So I'm looking at this deck and I'm
the
thinking,
down and
hold on, where's all the super powerful cards? I mean, he still has a few. He's got the Ancient Tomb, but only because it was reprinted in Lord of the Rings. He's obviously got the One Ring because it is a Lord of the Rings card. No Smothering Tithe. Sylvan Library is another card that he just shoehorns in all his decks. Doesn't have that, right?
and
I'm like, oh, okay.
Also, the food tokens can sometimes save your butt.
And the reason why is because this deck is actually thematic. As you can see, it's almost entirely Lord of the... He's actually trying to make a Lord of the Rings deck. So he is restricting himself, right? He's actually putting a restriction on himself where he's trying not to play cards that are not in the Lord of the Rings theme.
All right, let's talk about some cornerstone.
Cloudstone Curio to me seems like, I don't know if that's necessary, but...
Cards like Teshar, and as a result, this is just one of the more powerful combo pieces in the deck.
I mean,
You
okay,
have
it's a
all 4
combo
of these
piece.
cards out at
Of
once.
course, he's got to put a combo in there
You're
because,
gonna be doing
again, that's another thing these guys do is it's like, okay, well, where's my like the I have to have a combo in every deck mentality too. I don't really love. Still, it's kind of a neat combo, and there's
contribute to that.
a lot of pieces involved, no problem. Anyway, I want to get to the point where he talks about, and this is important. This is an important contrast.
Then you have, I would say,
He's ranking his
this
decks.
ranking of this deck is at an S. as
An
well.
S. He puts it right at the top,
Maybe an A, but I'll say S
above Marchesa.
because it's a Lord of the Rings deck, and the really fun part about it is that
This is the important part, the really fun part about it.
you've got cards like Farhaven Elf, Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, Ring to Barahir, which is sort of the Animist, and they've all been rebranded with Lord of the Rings art.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like you're playing a really thematic Vorthos deck.
Great.
You don't actually have to sacrifice a ton of slots to just powerful magic cards. Now,
Did you hear what he just said? You don't have to sacrifice a bunch of slots to powerful magic cards. That's why all of his other decks look like that. Because he thinks he needs to sacrifice slots to powerful magic cards. He needs Gamble, Dockside, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Jessica's Will, Fierce Guardianship, Rhystic Study. All those cards he needs to sacrifice slots in his other decks so that he can be competitive or whatever. Because Josh is also doing that, so he needs to compete, right? Because he's not doing that in this deck. This deck is so much fun. Let's list that. It's so important. Let's listen to it again.
Cards like Farhaven Elf.
Because he's talking about they reprinted these cards in the Lord of the Rings so they fit in his Lord of the Rings themed deck, right?
To Plowshares, Path to Exile, Ring to Barahir, which is sort of the Animist. And they've all been rebranded with Lord of the Rings art. So it feels like you're playing a really thematic Vorthos deck.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to sacrifice a ton of slots to just powerful magic cards. Now, I know.
Guess what, Jimmy? You don't have to do that already. You don't have to do that, Jimmy. Stop doing it. You don't have to do it. Because I'm playing a Lord of the Rings themed deck, I don't have to sacrifice a bunch of slots to powerful commander staples. You already don't have to do that. You don't, right? You're ruining your own decks by doing that. That's what he's doing.
We're all basically from the Magic universe. But the exciting part about this deck is that it feels like I'm playing Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I bet. Great. That's why you love it so much. You have an actual thematic deck. You built around a specific theme rather than just shoehorning a bunch of good stuff cards in your deck, right? Again, you look at all of his other decks. He's got a Miram deck, which of course he put Food Chain in. He's got like, in all these decks, right? He's got a lot of Stormy decks and really powerful decks, but look, they're ranked really low. His Neheb deck, which is basically, again, that's basically a combo commander where you just go infinite on your turn and kill everybody. Guess what? He doesn't like it. That was really important. I would love to clip that and send it to him. That word there where he's like, man, this deck is so fun because it's a Lord of the Rings themed deck where I put this deck building restriction on myself and therefore I don't just shoehorn a bunch of good stuff cards in the deck. Are you listening to yourself? Listen to yourself, Jimmy. I should clip that and send it to him and like, listen to that on repeat. It says a lot. So I thought it was really interesting. Like when I was looking at that Marchesa deck, I was like, ugh, dude, it's just a good stuff pile. You're just putting all the most powerful commander staples into a deck together. Lame. The actual thing you're doing in the deck with the Sower of Temptation and Thalicos Deceiver, those are literally the only two cards that are doing that in your deck. The rest of the deck is just good stuff. Like, what are you doing? And then I see the Samwise deck, which I was really surprised to see that. My guess is he's a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and he just really likes Samwise Gamgee, so he wanted to make a Samwise Gamgee deck because that really, after looking at all the other decks, again, really powerful commanders. Almost all of them are red because he loves red. Seeing that was really surprising. And then when he ended up sticking it in S tier, I was like, whoa. And hearing him say that was like, what an important takeaway. Don't sacrifice slots in your deck for powerful commander staples because you're just going to make your deck, first of all, I mean, you might actually make it worse. You'll certainly make it less synergistic, and you're just going to make it lame and boring. That's the big takeaway here. All right. That's the end of the video. See you guys in the next one.